with the memory of the superhero. It's the Marilu Henner Show.
I'm Marilu Henner here with Lauren Henner, Brent Hatley, and Jessica Davis in Hollywood, California. And my bad, I was looking at the wrong list. I'm so sorry. I have to apologize to our next guest because I know him very well. I've known him since he was a little boy, and I just love his family. He is a race car driver, and he is the founder of Pink and Blue for Two, which is called PB42. It's a breast cancer and prostate cancer awareness charity. And he got involved. His mom, Rona Newton-John, just a fabulous, wonderful woman. She was the wife of Jeff Conaway as well, so I knew her very well. And as I said, I've known Emerson since he was a very little boy. And his aunt is Olivia Newton-John, and she's incredible, and of course a singer, the star of Grease. So he comes from a long line of incredible people, and now he is adding to that legacy because he knows that statistics show that breast cancer is most commonly diagnosed. It's the most commonly diagnosed in women, cancer in women, and prostate cancer is the most diagnosed cancer in men. But did you know that there are more striking similarities between the two? Well, he's here to explain more. He not only has a soft spot for helping others, he also has a need for speed. And he comes from a long line of talented family members, including actors, singers, musicians, writers, and even a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. So please welcome race car driver and co-founder of Pink and Blue for Two. Please give a nice, warm Marilu Henner Show. Welcome to Emerson Newton-John. Woo-hoo!
Thank you, Marilu. What a fabulous intro that was. Wow, I like it.
Well,
I feel really good about myself.
Well, that's good. We want you to feel good here. And I'm so sorry about teasing the wrong guest. But anyway, all right, so take us to the beginning. What are the similarities between breast cancer and prostate cancer? Because I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, no, and we didn't either. And that was the driving force behind creating this charity, was the fact that we're actually having dinner with Dr. Ernie Bodai, who is one of the globally leading breast cancer surgeons. And he's also a good friend, mentor, and business partner of my Aunt Olivia's. And he's also the guy that actually created the breast cancer research postage stamp that you see in all of the post offices. I think he's raising outrageous, like $120 million towards research for a cure. So an impressive guy is not even a fair word for this guy, and he's also amazingly nice. So we're having dinner with him, and my business partner, Chris, and I were kind of just grilling him on all these different facts about breast and prostate cancer. And he said, look, people don't know it, but the similarities between the two, when you line them up side by side and all the different stats, they're literally almost identical. And he showed us the slide. He pulled it up on his phone, the slide that he had. And Chris and I just looked at each other like, wow. This is unreal. Something needs to be done about this. And, we talked about it the next day for hours and hours and hours, that this could be an absolutely powerful charity campaign, and one that would be able to touch almost everybody. I mean, male,
sure, help
female.
Couples. Yeah, get couples involved. Get the screening together so you get at least a baseline, and you know
right.
what's going on, because it's never too late to make some changes in your lifestyle that could help avoid exacerbating something like these conditions.
Exactly. So long story short, we just thought that this had to get to the people globally. Obviously, start in this country and go from there. And this is a charity that literally everyone can be and should be involved with if you're of age to be diagnosed. And because of environmental toxins, that number is becoming lower and lower and lower by the month, by the year.
You're saying we're getting better instead of worse? We're getting fewer cancer
No,
patients?
we're getting worse. We're getting worse.
So the number's going up.
Right. Yeah. You know so much more about this than I, because you're so proactive with that and have done so much for it. But because of what we eat and what we put on our bodies and in our bodies, just the things we breathe, it's exacerbating the rates. And therefore, instead of don't worry about being screened until you're 45 or 50. No, let's start getting screened now, early to mid 30s, and really be proactive and really make sure that you get diagnosed, if you're going to be diagnosed in the early stages, because you have an amazing chance.
Right. And how about even doing some preventative things so that even if you're getting, even before you're diagnosed, you can sort of help your life so that you're not saying, okay, well, I'm just hitting a certain age, so I'm going to, eat garbage and not, pay attention to the environment and stuff like that.
Which is one of the reasons it's so fantastic to have you aboard, because that's where you're an expert. So we have all these people on the board that are experts in various fields, and we can pull from their knowledge to make this a more powerful and more worthwhile campaign.
Now, let me ask you, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, and we'll definitely get Dr. Bodai on the show, but
for sure.
The similarities between breast and prostate, are they different, like if you saw breast and lung or breast and ovarian?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah,
even more common than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he picked prostate. He's actually a prostate cancer survivor, and as most people are aware, my Aunt Olivia is a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
So, we didn't even know that until we were having this dinner with him, and it just made him the obvious choice to be our lead medical ambassador. But yeah, the reason why we were discussing breast and prostate was because, exactly like you said, those two are the ones that have almost identical stats across the board, and they both have 94 to 96% cure rates if caught early.
If caught early, yeah, for sure.
That's huge.
So what can our listeners do to get involved? I mean, I know that there's this fabulous website, and you can talk about it, and we'll have a link up at marilushow.com so that if people can't, write it down right now, we'll have a link up so that they can find to it. It's opening a dialogue must be the first thing, right?
Yeah.
Have some kind of conversation.
Yeah, people don't know about these facts, and most people don't know, especially about prostate cancer, that, if it is caught in the early stages, you have a really, really good chance of survival. It's fabulous that there's so much emphasis and so much awareness being brought to breast cancer, and it needs to be. But we need to have the guys, being shown some love as well, because the prostate cancer is just as prevalent, but it also has an equally high survival rate. So we got to get these things on an equal plane.
Sure, and the thing is that people don't have to be fearful, like, oh, that means I'm having everything cut out. There are different ways and methods and cures and prevention. I mean, my husband's a bladder cancer survivor and did not have to go through surgery at all. They were recommending bladder surgery and prostate surgery, and he's now in remission 10 years and didn't do any of that because he just changed so many other things about his life. So it doesn't mean a death sentence. It doesn't automatically mean surgery right away for people, or chemo or radiation even. But you've got to find these things early enough to do something about it.
Right. You have to find it early enough, and that's why the whole Scream Together, Live Together tagline that we have is what it's all about. If your significant other is there, is there to remind you to book that annual screening with your doctor, you've got a really, really good shot at beating it. And like you said, if you take care of yourself and you eat well and you exercise and you try to use products that aren't, riddled and laden with toxins, right there, you're lowering your chances substantially.
Yeah. So it's information. It's knowledge is power. And, once you know, you can't choose not to know anymore. So open your mind up to it. I always think that as you go into a new year, you should pick, your annual exams should happen in January because you'll always remember to have them. And,
a good one. Can I use that?
Yeah. That's one of the big tips from our calendar, our Total Life Makeover calendar for 2014. It's like plan for exam every Jan, make sure that you do it, because then if you say, oh, I didn't do it in February, at least your insurance usually covers within the year. So if you do it right away in the beginning of the year, you'll get it covered, but at least you'll have a couple months. If you do it in November, you might miss that year. Because you get busy with the holidays. So plan for exam every Jan, whatever it is that you need to do, whether it's your teeth or your body or definitely your prostate or your breast. Now, I know that you have a successful career as a race car driver, and I definitely want to talk to you about Paul Walker's death and weighing in on what you think happened. But first, I want to know, how do you plan to use your career as a race car driver as an awareness initiative for the charity PB PB42, which is about Pink and Blue for Two, breast cancer and prostate cancer awareness charity.
Well, motorsport, as most people are aware, has a massive following globally. And there's different divisions of motorsport around the world that have a larger following than others. In this country, it's NASCAR. In Europe, South America, it's Formula One. But IndyCar in this country is second to NASCAR. And it also has a large global following as well. So you're looking at a sport that has not only tens of millions of people involved, but it also has all the demos involved that we want to reach. So
right.
Because it's what I do and because it's what I know, and my co-founder, Chris Perry, he's also heavily involved in motorsports with AJ Foyt, and actually AJ's son, Larry, who runs his team, is on our board, a good friend of ours. It just makes sense to have our primary awareness initiative through a motorsport program.
Because you can reach the guys, too. You can reach the guys, and you can reach young guys who have young girlfriends, and I'm sure, and older guys. It's like it really, involves all demos. We're talking to Emerson Newton-John, race car driver and founder of Pink and Blue for Two, PB42, a breast cancer and prostate cancer awareness charity. So that's great that you're going to, where you have banners, where you have, you're trying to just raise awareness and doing it through your being a race car driver. Correct?
Yeah, basically what we'll do is, it's very detailed. I'll give you the quick nutshell of what the plan is. We'll have the entire car wrapped in all Pink and Blue for Two livery. Obviously, there'll be a spot for our partners and our sponsors, of course. And we'll have all sorts of on as well as off-track awareness initiatives. And I think we're going to partner with a few other people, too, that'll just strengthen our message. So that's the plan. Obviously, as you know, racing is outrageously expensive. So we are going to need, whether it's a corporate partner or a philanthropist to back this to get the message out. We're going to need that. We're looking for it. But we're confident that we'll get it, and we know that, once we get out on the track, we think that not only the fans will really, really be behind it, but we think the media will really dig it too, because nothing like that has been done in racing, and that's another reason why we thought, let's put our focus initially into a motorsport program, because no one has ever done a fully focused charitable initiative in motorsports. There's been,
Because I know it's other sports have, so it's great that you're doing. Well, I knew even when you were a little boy that you were going to do something big with your life. So I'm glad to see that you're doing something like this. Now let's weigh in on Paul Walker's death for a second, because we just have a couple more minutes. Because I know that speed car driving very fast these days is in the news a lot, and they're talking about how much his love for speed and everything else. Where do you weigh in on this? Is it a lesson learned? Is it something we can, is there a takeaway for the audience in terms of, and maybe that's why people are so riveted about this and this topic and cannot stop talking about him and how he passed away?
Yeah, it actually, I'm shocked how interesting it has been for people. He was a really cool cat. I didn't know him, but he seemed like a really cool cat.
Sure.
Obviously was a talented guy. He was a California surfer, talented guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he seemed to be the victim of someone else's, I don't really know how else to say it, bad judgment move. There's no official word on how fast they were going or what.
What would be your guess? Knowing cars and knowing...
My guess?
Yeah.
They went out for a joyride, and a guy who was a semi-pro, but doesn't really mean much. Getting a pro license in motorsport in the mid-level division isn't really that difficult. It doesn't really make you a pro.
Right.
And might have been a decent driver, but going out there on cold tires, cold weather with a 600 horsepower car and doing, kind of ridiculous things that could have injured other people, with a passenger in the car, I don't think it was the smartest thing to do. These are things that I did when I was 18, when I was 22. But
yeah, and thank God you didn't hurt anybody. How fast? We only have like 30 seconds. So how fast do you think that they were going, Emerson? What would be your guess?
Based on the way that those trees went down and the violence of it, I would say anywhere between 75 and 100.
Wow. That's too fast for 45 miles. 45 mile zone. Thank you so much for being with us
today.
I hope you'll come back. Yeah, we'll get Dr. Bodai on, and also for Olivia Newton-John to come on. Talking to Emerson Newton-John, thank you so much for being with us. Race car driver and founder of Pink and Blue for Two, PB42, a breast cancer and prostate cancer awareness charity. We'll have the information up at MaryLouShow.com so you can figure out how to get involved with the charity, the information. I know there's all kinds of great stuff for people to know on the site. So thank you, Emerson, for being with us today.